Welcome to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Sedin is not English for punch me or headlock me in a scrum.
Sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
I'm not your friend at all. I'm a mirror for your narcissism.
My name is Evan, and you're listening to Block E.
Oh hey, welcome to the first official episode of Block E. On the show for today we have some current events as well as my interview with Press for Truth's own Dan Dix. But before all of that, let's get to some of the music. On today's show there will be music from artists such as On Planets and maSHerman. But first is the ever so talented Apollo with his song Forever featuring Katy Gonsalves. And you're listening to Block E.
You're listening to the Block E podcast.
Right. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them bitches. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them bitches. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni.
Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them.
Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Cheddar, yeah. Let me see them titties out the sweater.
Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them bitches. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them bitches. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them bitches. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni.
Cheddar, yeah. Let me see them titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater, yeah. Cheddar, better, yeah. Let me see them titties out the sweater, yeah. Titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater.
Hey, okay. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them.
Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni. Yeah, absolutely weather. Yeah. Girl saying that I'm better. Yeah, absolutely weather. Yeah. Girl saying that I'm better. Yeah, absolutely pussy weather. Pussy getting weather. Let me get your pussy out the sweater. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Hey yo, pussy getting wetter. I don't remember what I was. Hey yo, pussy bitches act tough. Bitches act tough. Hey yo, pussy bitches act tough. Bitches act tough. Hey yo, pussy bitches act tough. Bitches act tough. Pussy bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I sweater. Hey yo, pussy bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches cheddar, better, yeah. Let me see them titties out the sweater. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough. Bitches act tough till I spill all you want. Work at my
Cheddar, better, yeah. Let me see them.
titties out the sweater, yeah. Titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater, yeah.
Cheddar, better, yeah. Let me see them.
Titties out the sweater, yeah. Titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater. Hey, okay.
Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them.
Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni on them. Bitches act tough till I spill my macaroni.
Yeah,
absolutely weather. Yeah. Girl saying, let me see them titties out the sweater. Yeah, titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely weather. Yeah. Girl saying,
let me see them titties out the sweater. Yeah, titties out the sweater. Titties out the sweater.
Yeah. Cheddar.
That last song was from maSHerman featuring HOMEBOYSCHEVY with their song Macaroni. Seemed very fitting. And up next is a Canadian cartoon called Cinderella Penguin, which is featuring music from Odd Planets, Someone, and Joseph L'Étranger. Enjoy.
You're listening to the Blocky Podcast. Zoom.
is only one. It's enough. I wear my garment so it shows. Now you know. Only love is all maroon. Fluid feathers on a flume. Sky is warm and sees the moon. I am my mother on the wall with a soul. I move in water shore to shore. Nothing's more. Only love is all maroon. That lakes like theory lose. Leaving opens red is Only love is all maroon. Fluid feathers on a flume. Sky is warm and sees the moon.
Count of three. I want everybody in the place to be to make some noise if you're down with me.
Please help out the local music scene, and in the description of this podcast, you'll be able to find the artists and the songs used in this show. And now it's time for some current events.
Block E, the podcast.
In Richmond, British Columbia, Canada, a land just sold for 100 times its value. The original land assessment done by the city of Richmond valued the farmland at just over $84,000. But alas, the 8-hectare land was sold for a measly $9.2 million. Pretty much how much I paid for these rad shades. The realtor who sold the property, Layla Yang, says it's a good thing that this transaction happened from the individuals who sold the property to the corporation that bought it. But don't question Yang if you are someone that looks like me. You might be racist, even though Richmond, British Columbia is over 76% visible minority. Hey, wait a minute. This is Chester Goldwater paging through in the studio. Is this a typo? How can 76% of the population be considered a visible minority? Am I missing something here? Next, this is what some would say as disturbing footage coming out of the ocean. Literally coming out. Off the coast of Vancouver Island, there is blood coming out from a nearby fish farm processing plant. I mean, why would I want to put my own health at risk from eating wild fish? That is disgusting. I'll stick to the farmed fish who don't swim in this blood. Thank you very much. Next, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had quite a showdown with opposition leader Andrew Scheer in the House of Commons over ISIS. The government of Canada is allowing Canadians returning from their stint with ISIS to be rehabilitated in Canada. Here's the showdown.
Mr. Speaker, CSIS warned the Liberal government all the way back in 2015 that returning ISIS fighters were a continuing and real threat to Canada. They warned that Canadian citizens were recruited by ISIS, quote, not because they needed more foot soldiers, but because they want to teach the Westerners to take the struggle into every neighborhood and subway back home. So ISIS specifically trained Canadian fighters to come back here and terrorize our community, and the Liberals knew about it for over 2 years. So why is the Prime Minister so focused on reintegration services and not putting these people in jail?
Mr. Speaker, this government, like all governments, takes extremely seriously the safety of Canadians, and that's why everything we do is focused on keeping Canadians safe. And we know that a society that is safe is one in which we are using a broad range of tools to keep Canadians safe. Yes, we have enforcement, surveillance, and national security tools that we use to a significant degree, but we also have methods of de-emphasizing or de-programming people who want to harm our society, and that's the things we have to move.
Mr. Speaker, it's this Prime Minister's that's de-emphasizing Canadian security, and Canadians are tired of it. Conservatives who amended the criminal code to make it an offense to leave Canada to fight for ISIS. It was Conservatives who were focused on giving our law enforcement new tools to prosecute ISIS fighters. This Prime Minister is using a broad spectrum that includes poetry and podcasts and all kinds of counseling and group hug sessions, Mr. Speaker. When will the Prime Minister take the security of Canadians seriously and look for ways to put these ISIS fighters in jail?
The Conservative Party learned nothing from the last election and the lessons Canadians taught them. They ran an election on snitch lines against Muslims. They ran an election on Islamophobia and division. And still, they play the same games trying to scare Canadians. The fact is, we always focus on the security of Canadians, and we always will. And they play politics of fear, and Canadians reject that.
Nobody voted in the last election to elect a government that would be so focused on the rights of ISIS terrorists, people who watch soldiers burned alive in slavery, sell women and girls into slavery. When people like that come home, they don't need to spend time writing haikus, they need to spend time in jail. When will the Prime Minister take that seriously?
We can see that Stephen Harper's Conservative Party is alive and well. They are doubling down on the same approaches they had in the last election, the same approaches that Canadians rejected. I wish them luck.
Next, Canada braces for a Trump visit in June 2018. This is for the upcoming G7 convention in rural Quebec. So we have a ton of time to pump up our military, arm our citizens for the Trump invasion of 2018. Braces. Or we will just post about it online at home since internet data on our phones is so expensive. Next, he did it again. I can see now why Trump calls the leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea Rocket Man.
And I think it won't be a long time till Trump pounds Kim with missiles he will find. Or not the duds the fat kid has at home. Oh no.
The reason why this missile is a big deal is because of how much range it has. North Korea can now send a missile directly to the US, but it's a good thing that I live in Canada. The border will stop everything from coming through. Next, did you know that Kesha is the #1 reason why plastics are in the ocean? Is it Kesha or the glitter's fault? Glitter contains microplastics, which seep into the water and harm pretty much everything that depends on that water. So please, do as I do. Do as I do. And get rid of your glitter by flushing it down the toilet. Next, and finally, Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency has been making loads of news lately. One Bitcoin just surpassed the $10,000 US mark, and for a moment, went above 11,000. But you online hipsters ain't got nothing for Chester Goldwater. Your Bitcoin ain't backed by anything. Not like my real money, which is backed by something. I just haven't found out what backs it yet, but I will. That's your 7 and 7 with Chester Goldwater.
This
Gosh, it feels claustrophobic.
is Block E,
Is this what bleeding to death is? Oh, we.
the podcast.
Ooh, we. Amen to that.
You know what I mean? Remember, I tell you that you owe me one, nigga. Remember when I told you owe me one? Well, listen this. Yeah, well, here what? No. This is it, the big vacation.
kid from Cam City. I grew up on the south side, they said it was so pretty. My mom would tell me stay here till you're 20, but I left at 19, cause I really thought I was ready to go and follow my dreams. I had a rough start, try to outrun all these entities, quickly turned to enemies, now listen what they telling me. Detrimental mental states penetrating my mind. They thought I was delicate, I get stronger with time, but I got past that. I gotta be honest, I gotta be smooth, and I gotta be flawless. And I promise to come visit you every couple of months. We can go and get some lunch and talk about how much I suck. Remember South Cam? Remember Aberdeen? Remember falling in love, not knowing what that means. It was a travesty, I never had the cavalry, but now I'm older, probably do that shit sporadically.
And every day and every night was the same shit. Since forever been a lame kid. Mama always told me I was different. I was special and I love how it sounded. Cause passion is passion regardless of doubts. I'll follow my actions, relaxed in my habits. First time that I'm standing, I'll shout. My man's is fantastic.
Let me tell you about a kid from Van City now. I used to wear the colored jeans, but now I toned it down. And with the pen and pad in hand, I paint a panoramic view. I never picked apart my problems, probably put them all on you, so I'm sorry. I never played it like Atari. I'm evidently naughty, put the coal inside my stocking. Now I'm struggling to find some inspiration for the rhythm. I can tell you I'm depressed, but that is clearly just a given. I'm living honorable, put me on the honor roll. I'm more on point than when Brady calls an audible. They see me releasing shit through Nilo, that's not possible. He was a quiet kid, how did he overcome these obstacles? He wasn't the same since those dudes called him lame. Now compared to all of them, I'm in a whole nother lane. Hating on Craig, better hit him with the rain. Better saddle up to battle, since I left I ain't the same.
And every day and every night was the same shit. Since forever been a lame kid. Mama always told me I was different. I was special and I love how it sounded. Cause passion is passion regardless of doubts. I'll follow my actions, relaxed in my habits. First time that I'm standing, I'll shout. My man's is fantastic, yeah.
That last song that you just heard was Home from Craig Corea and Una May. And the song before that was called Drifttt. 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 That last song was called Drift from Juelz. And now it's time for Block E's exclusive interview with Press for Truth's Dan Dix.
Block E, the podcast.
My name's Dan Dix. I'm a filmmaker, investigative journalist, and I run a YouTube channel and website, pressfortruth.ca. To be honest, I kind of, it just snowballed. I sort of fell into it. It was a natural progression of my activism, really. I first started hearing about issues that I felt need to be exposed back in around 98, 99. So it was a little bit of an early waker-upper, I guess. Funny enough, the very first topic I've ever heard anybody say anything about was chemtrails back then. And I thought it was crazy. I thought it was pretty ridiculous. And then my friend gave me a film. I don't recall what it was called. It was on a VHS tape. And that kind of got me going down the rabbit hole, essentially. Yeah, that was a little while ago. And from there, I got more involved in activism. I started meeting up with like-minded people, going to meetup groups, and then 9/11 happened. That's when I decided to kick it up another notch and get out there and start handing out DVDs, handing out flyers, meeting people. Did that for a number of years until 2006. I finally decided to start something on my own because there was a lot of debates about what the solutions ought to be, within these groups. So I felt I just needed to focus on what I felt needs to be done. So when I heard that Bilderberg was coming to Ottawa and I was only a few hours drive away, I thought, perfect. I borrowed my brother's camera and I went there, and basically it was at Bilderberg in 2006 when I first had a camera in my hands that I knew this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. I enjoy the shorter videos, to be honest. I love documentary films, but it's a lot of work. Not that I'm, one to shy away from a lot of work, but anybody who's ever done a film will realize just how big of a project it really is. And with the day-to-day videos, I can mix it up. I can mix up the style even. Sometimes I'll do a 10 or 15-minute video in the style of a documentary. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll do it in a jump cut style or just a walk and talk type of vlog. Having that ability to mix it up keeps it interesting for me and fun. I have a video that I think is probably my favorite video, the best video I've ever made, I think. It was about the December 2012. It was about 2012 and the end of the world, the Mayan calendar. Everything was going to end on December 21st, 2012. And I went around in downtown Toronto asking people their views on that. And long story short, I asked them if they would be willing to do an act of kindness, a random act of kindness for someone else on the street. And a lot of people ended up doing it. It was a really positive video. It sent out a really good, positive message, and I just really felt like I nailed that one. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it, but if you look on my channel, use the search feature and just type in something like December 21st. Oh yeah, it was called December 21st, 2012, What Will You Do, I think? Something like that, but that's probably by far the video I'm most proud of, other than my film Into the Fire. I'm not sure, it is interesting to see the entire world's attention and focus on Donald Trump, especially when, we have our own issues to deal with here in Canada, but Trudeau seems to be a bit of a narcissist, he's our selfie prime minister, so I think maybe it's affecting him a little bit personally in the sense that maybe the limelight's being stolen a little bit from the hair. Yeah, I have, my favorites. I'm a fan of certain YouTubers, and I have been incredibly blessed and lucky enough to be in a position to have become great friends with these people. One of my most favorite YouTubers is James Corbett. And I absolutely love the Corbett Report. He's the only YouTuber where I won't necessarily have to watch the entire video before I would share it. I won't do that with anyone else other than James Corbett. I'm confident enough, I'll be halfway through a video with him and I'll go ahead and share it. I won't do that with anybody else other than him. So James Corbett's probably my number one. I'm a big fan of Luke Rudowski. He's been doing great work with We Are Change, and like I said, I've been looking up to some of these guys for a long time. We all started at the same time, and I've been looking up to these guys for years, and now we're good friends, and it's amazing. There's all kinds of free market solutions that end up presenting themselves when people try to silence our free speech. We saw that with the YouTube adpocalypse. What that ended up spawning was this website called DTube, dtube.video, and that has ended up being a way for me to supplement my income through earning cryptocurrencies called Steam dollars. I then trade that for Bitcoin, sell that, and pay my bills. So yes, moving forward, there's going to be more suppression of our speech online, but free market solutions present themselves all the time, and we got to go to those platforms and encourage others to do so. Not entirely abandon the ones that we were at either, because we don't want to preach to the choir. We don't want to just be in an ideological echo chamber. We want to reach the masses with our message. So I think it's important moving forward to stay on these platforms, even though they're going to try to silence us, but to diversify, I suppose you could say, and check out these new ones like Steemit, DTube, BitChute, VidMe. There's a whole bunch of free market solutions arising to the suppression of our free speech, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm a huge dog person. Like, I'm a huge dog guy. Absolutely love dogs. Any dog I see, I almost just want to stop and say hi. I'm one of those dog people. I have an awesome little dog, a Havanese, a 2-year-old little Havanese. named Kaiser Sose, and he's great. Man, what an interesting question. I'd have to say a dog, even though you see them all the time. You see them everywhere. But there's something very, very special about the relationship. I know the man's best friend and all that, but it's beyond that, in my opinion. I think it's a gift from God. And yeah, I just love dogs.
And that was episode 1 of the Block E podcast. Please remember to subscribe to wherever you are hearing or seeing this podcast. There will be a new episode of Block E next week featuring investigative journalist Jeff Regier. And there will be a ton of great music from local artists next week as well. So please remember to subscribe, and I will see you next week.
You're listening to the Block E podcast.